Don't give up on yourself. Your moment of deepest doubt is your moment of transformation. It is so consistent and you can do it. And like I said before, you have people's support that you might not know about. So allow yourself to feel into that, explore it. If you come up with a name of who's supporting you and you don't know it, call them. Just touch base. Give them an update. You're not alone.
Welcome to Making It, the podcast where winning entrepreneurs share how they're building for success and the lessons they're learning along the way. I'm Danny Iny, the founder and CEO of Michi. We help coaches, consultants, and creators monetize their gifts. So if you think your expertise should be driving more income than it is, we help you bridge that gap. We do this because we believe ethical and impactful businesses can change the world for the better. This show helps you do exactly that. And if you want to learn even more, you can check out our business education programs and online community at michi.com.
Thanks, Danny. And hello, everyone. I'm Michi, your host and producer here on Making It. Today, I'm joined by leadership and transition coach Deb Shannon. Through her company, Deb Shannon Coaching and Consulting, Deb helps exhausted women healthcare providers find a path out of burnout and into a more grounded and energized life they love. Through her work, she blends neuroscience of conversations with positive intelligence to help mission-driven professionals rebuild confidence, set healthier boundaries, and lead with authenticity. Welcome, Deb. It's great to have you here on Making It.
Thanks, Michi. I'm glad to be here.
In preparation for our conversation today, I find that you have a very fascinating and important niche that you work with. You're a resilient and mental fitness coach for women in healthcare. If we start there, share a bit of your background and what inspired you to become an entrepreneur.
So, totally candid, being an entrepreneur was not the goal.
Yeah.
The goal was to serve the people in need. And it was actually in preparation for this conversation that I realized the connection between the women healthcare providers, the doctors, the RNs, physicians' assistants, and where I actually started in coaching. So I was working for a healthcare tech company, and it was an exciting time. And they were hiring droves of young people fresh out of universities, and they were indoctrinating them into a business model that I couldn't stand anymore. The greatest talents, the best ideas, communicators, they were not rising, and other people were getting promoted. I had just received the organization's highest award for serving healthcare systems, organizations that take care of children, have global recognition. And I just took it upon myself to start coaching some of these younger people to find satisfaction and joy in the position they were in and level up their skills to get to where they wanted to be.
You were coaching within that company, correct?
I did that in addition to the other responsibilities, serving my clients. But some of my clients really needed to learn how to communicate their needs within their organization. So the coaching just became a value added that my clients got with me. It was how I conducted my business on behalf of the larger organization where I was working. And that was 2014, 2015, 2016. Yeah, back in that time frame.
So 10, 11 years ago. So today, who do you work with? You kind of already alluded to that, but what transformation do you help them achieve? Like, what does transformation look like for women in medicine and healthcare?
So my healthcare clients specifically are fully aware that they are in the throes of change personally, because you are always evolving to serve an evolving clientele. And these are your patients, right? But they are also within systems of transformation, right? The system of healthcare, whether it's for-profit or nonprofit, is transforming. along with the technology. So we have transforming business models, transforming tools for delivery of care, and the personal transformation that happens naturally because you are serving people. And the reality for my healthcare one-on-one coaching clients is that, especially for women, balancing the hyperachiever inclinations of I can do it all with their caregiving inclinations to take care and make sure that, everybody on their team likes working with them and they're happy about that. Sometimes it leaves them in this position of there's a person in a white coat that can't fail. And then they go home and they are spent. And sometimes they don't treat their busy little kids the way they would like to. Or they go back into work and they start the day with one hot email and already they're overloaded with cortisol and they don't see the opportunities to have grounded, productive conversations. So the transformation that my clients experience in that work when they come to me is generally developing a sense of groundedness and perspective, the capacity to step outside of yourself so that you can look at this person with empathy, this person who came into the world as a perfect child with all of the knowledge of the heavens and the earth to serve others with care and knowledge about their but to do it in a way that is sustainable for them. Because what these women are facing in healthcare today is not sustainable. And they're facing rates of burnout that have huge implications for family systems, for community systems, and for the healthcare system. So at the end of working with me, what my clients say is, oh my gosh, I've got the whole family talking about mental fitness with me. And we did these focus exercises on a bite of chocolate at the dinner table. And we were all giggling, just noticing and being in the moment with what matters most right now so that they can apply those tools no matter where they are in their day and no matter what challenge they're facing.
So your clients are primarily like one-on-one, or do you do group coaching, or do you, like a facility, healthcare facility, take your company, hire you to work with their team, or how does the business kind of
so the business
look
works
like for you?
The business works outside of that healthcare institution. And lots of healthcare institutions have their own internal coaches. But what my clients tell me, they really appreciate me because often they are looking at a professional transition, is to come to somebody who has a wider picture of the job market and women in transition. And I had one client who came to me, she had just changed location. She worked in global healthcare services, global healthcare research. She's a teaching doctor and a surgeon. And what she said about working with me, both outside of the healthcare facilities and outside of medicine, was that I could really help her understand her skills in a whole new light so that she could see the full spectrum of possibilities before her. And in the end, she stayed in healthcare, in hands-on clinical healthcare, doing surgery, doing her research. I don't think she's teaching right now, but it's that wider perspective that they really appreciate.
I mean, it's being in a healthcare system today, maybe especially in high pressure clinical settings. And when you work with your clients, usually very highly empathic people. So when you work, let's say you have a client and what different for that person after, like, say 90 days? What metric is usually visible or noticeable for? Is it presence, energy, or the hours they put in, or how does that look like?
I love the way you frame that question. Presence, energy, the hours they put in. And so I'm going to start with the last one. The hours that they put in speaks specifically to boundaries. So at the end of working with me, and I don't ever actually see an end to the relationship. I am always there for them. But at the end of our first program anyway, they see that they can set boundaries and that levels up their leadership, that others look at them and say, oh, That's why you're not as cranky. You didn't freak out when I knocked my coffee over on your shoes.
Yeah.
And then going to presence, having that clear-headed view in the smaller moments in life, being able to put things in perspective that says, okay, so my little boy just refuses to wear socks in his shoes today. He's going to go to school in shoes without wearing his socks, and I'll stick the socks in his bag in case he gets blisters. Finding simple solutions in the moment. And the third one is that energy piece, which is key for women in healthcare, because what they tell me is on a good day, they might feel adequate in their jobs. And that is a really sad thing, because what it means is on most days, they have imposter syndrome, and that is physically debilitating. It drains your energy all the time to be questioning yourself. Are they about to find out? I didn't really earn this degree. Of course they earned this degree. They are more than capable, and they have positive job reviews to prove it. But at the end of our time together, they have tools to go back. I just posted this on Instagram the other day. I said, when you start off in a high stress day, I want you to have a picture on your phone of your last job review that says, these are the 3 awards that your patients want you to get, so that you get that instant shot of oxytocin and you feel the lift. So they have in the moment tools. They have broader, like strategic tools, like setting boundaries over time. And they have a sense of presence that allows themselves to be more forgiving of themselves when they make mistakes, and the people around them more gentle and loving with their families the way they know they can be. But the tension of work has really driven them to forget who they really are.
In your view, looking back for these 10, 11 years, is the way that we work and the way that we live our lives become harder for us to cope with all the things and tasks we feel we have to do?
I think we've seen a dramatic loss of trust in the institutions. And my experience, what doctors experience now with people managing them, it's very, very challenging. And I do think that scenario is changing, because hospitals are demanding bottom line cash outcomes that doctors never signed up for. And especially today, looking at potential cuts in healthcare payer services. So the organizations that will pay for people to get the care that they need. And that's going to affect the providers twofold, because one, when patients finally do come in to see them, they're going to be sicker. And two, that the business side of their healthcare institution is going to be driving them to do procedures and things that bring in the money that the payers will pay for. And that can sometimes distract from what a patient really needs, which is more than a 15-minute appointment. They need a person to look them in the eye and say, tell me what's really going on, because stress makes us sick, and understanding the stress allows doctors to find appropriate solutions.
So what part of your entrepreneurial journey do you feel has been the most rewarding since you started?
So there are 2 aspects to it, because part of my work too is in facilitating larger scale workshops. And often when I give a workshop, somebody will reach out to me quietly afterwards and say, do you do one-on-one work? So seeing how tight these networks of providers are, has been what's fed my business. They talk to each other about the difference that our work makes in their lives, and they share that wisdom with each other. Women share resources. They don't compete for them the same way you might see in the private sector in different ways, right? So that has been, learning that about how women work together just blows me away. We're so awesome. And the other most satisfying thing was really and truly my client who told me this story, that Her husband is a surgeon, so he performs surgeries all day long, and she works in a clinic primarily throughout the day. She got a call from him at 9 o'clock in the morning, and he was in a full-on panic because his first surgery had already gone bad, and he was really concerned that that would impact the rest of the day. And she said, "Okay, honey," I was her coach, "we're going to sit down and we're going to focus for 3 minutes." And she led him through one of our exercises, just the two of them, like there was nobody else in the universe. And he got off that call and he had created new space in his head and his heart. And what she said to me was, not only did I help him find tools to have a successful day, but I wasn't just being like a supportive wife. I actually led him through something that made a difference for him at work. And that made her feel really empowered.
That has to be such a satisfactory sense for you to actually see the work that you've done with your client have the ripple effect on her specifically, her network, her closest circle, and etc. etc. We're flipping that coin then. What's the sense or situation or moment maybe when you kind of realize I don't have everything figured out? Or
it's brutal. And I'm a person I have known since I was like 10 or 12 years old that I naturally fall into ruts where I don't know what to do. Like, well, now what? Nothing feels like it's working. And I was, 2.5 years, it's 2025, so 2022. In November, this time of year, I hit one of those spaces and I called a friend who's a coach. And I just said, I have to go find a job. I felt so bad. And she said, well, you can do that. Or you can come to a conference with me where we are with our people and energized. And I was like, no, I can't. I have no money. I can't do that. I can't afford it. I can't get on a plane. I don't have room for a hotel. She took all the barriers away. She said, get in your car. It's not that far. She said, you can share my room. It's got 2 beds. All the food is paid for. You get a discount. And she just wouldn't let me sink. And I revisit some of the conversations and events of that conference a couple of times every week with gratitude because it was a huge turning point for me. We don't see how many people are cheering for us and the good work and the impact that we can have when we're at the bottom of the barrel.
I understand you want to scale. You don't support yourself fully through your business yet. Is that you just said, I need to go to find a job. Let's say a time frame of it, like 1 to 2 years from now. What specific revenue or capacity target do you aim for? You would like to scale, right?
So I would like to scale, and I think that scaling comes through my speaking engagements. And what I have in mind is actually a keynote where I then get to bring 3 of my clients on stage so that they can have a conversation with each other. And the audience is healthcare providers trying to figure out all of these transformations and where they can fit within themselves. And finding that conference right now is really hard for me. I don't know where that conference is, but that is my view. I've got 500 people in the audience. I've got 3 of my clients on stage together saying, you too? Oh yeah, I got that. And did Deb tell you about this? Oh no, not that one. You got this one. And they're just pinging each other and sparking ideas and confirmations and affirmations with each other. Because when they come together, you actually get to see people remembering who they truly are and why they entered that field. So it's that kind of on stage, I call it sage contagion, that the audience feels, and they can amp that up. And that's where my business growth is going to come from. Maybe the people in the audience don't actually come to me, but maybe they know somebody they will send.
Exactly. You never know who's listening or watching. You never know who knows who, right? So,
and who's ready?
Yeah,
who finally hears what resonates for them because they're ready.
So if I hear you correctly, is the kind of big challenge or problem to solve for you is finding those places where you can have that type of keynote speaking. That is where you look at from a growth perspective, not necessarily the one-on-one coaching.
Right, because the stage, it's a passion of mine. People love my energy on stage, and I have a yellow jacket brand, and people love that. So there's the benefit of sharing that with people. The benefit to my existing clients of saying, hey, look how far we have come. And then that draw to one-on-one coaching. Like, I need a 200K revenue. That's it. I got twin grandchildren on the way. I need revenue.
Congrats.
Thank you.
I've talked to a lot of extraordinary entrepreneurs like yourself, and many of them talk about how important it is to come to masterminds or having your own coach or etc. Is that, or communities for that matters? What has been the most valuable in growing your business? Is that something that you invest in deliberately?
Best investment I have made has been in my coaches. Sometimes I've had to pay them, and sometimes they've been fellow coaches. But investment-wise, my coaches have told me when to stop thinking and go within, which is an enormous time saver. And that is my rarest commodity.
Yeah.
So if they tell me to stop thinking and go within, I solve problems really fast. And I've had coaches who say, okay, so this is the moment to bite the bullet and get operational help. And the other thing is a board of directors, and a board of directors will give you connections sometimes. They will give you insights about your business model, and they can help provide tools because typically they come from different industries and they have access to tools that I wouldn't know as a solopreneur.
Just looking at the show's title, Making It, the concept of making it, and for many people it can be, I need to have a lot of money, I want to buy a house and all sorts of things. For others, is more of a intangible things, having, a sense of self-fulfillment and etc. What does making it mean for you? What does that look like?
It's a combination of active service and income. Because if I don't feel well, if I don't feel like I can give to the other organizations I want to give to and do things for my family that are important, I value education really highly, then I'm not all here. I don't have enough to give. So making it absolutely means I'm learning more every day from a growing list of clients. I think a waiting list would be a good sign of making it. And having 5 to 10 appointments on stage every year so that my total income between clients and stage engagements, it hits 200K or more. I'm not as hard line about the 200K as I am about how I am working.
Yeah, that is really important, how you are working. So is there anything that has been particularly like a hard one lesson for you during your time as a healthcare entrepreneur?
Yeah, these people don't have any time for coaching. So when they finally get themselves to say, okay, I have to invest in me, their schedules change on them. And that's really hard. I am their coach, and I got to be there for them while they're being there for other people in all these different capacities. Part of my job is to help them establish those boundaries. But their time is a challenge for me in finding grace and a model that allows enough time in my schedule for them to say, I have to reschedule, and I'm okay with that. And honestly, what I turned it around in my business was to change my pricing model to say, if I'm offering this much time and flexibility, that flexibility, it's a premium.
Yeah.
And that's fine. They pay that because they do make money and they're confident in what they make. So
that kind of helped navigating for you to navigate that sense. So you didn't find yourself in a kind of a burnout loop.
Right. And I had to raise my prices.
Yeah.
That's not easy for everybody.
No. Is that something that comes easier for you now, that you find that, okay, it's premium level if I'm going to provide that kind of flexibility, or is it
Yes.
still
No.
a bit,
They're happy to pay it.
Yeah.
They are happy to pay it. They are so grateful to be in close contact with somebody who says, I'll meet you exactly where you are. Tell me what time works.
So congratulations that you find that kind of sweet spot, how you could work and navigate that kind of ever-changing situation for them.
You know what I said to myself when I realized I could raise my prices? I said, it's true. What everybody said. It's true. You can raise your prices and more people will come to you. And they did. And that made everything much clearer to me about the level of value that I'm delivering. Because like I said before, my referrals are mouth to mouth. So they felt they got that much value that they want somebody they know and trust to experience that too.
I'm enjoying our conversation. And is there anything like wisdom nuggets, something that I haven't asked you, but that you feel is essential to other entrepreneurs and the listeners and expert-based entrepreneurs?
Don't give up on yourself. Your moment of deepest doubt is your moment of transformation. It is so consistent and you can do it. And like I said before, you have people's support that you might not know about. So allow yourself to feel into that, explore it. Once, if you come up with a name of who's supporting you and you don't know it, call them. Just touch base. Give them an update. You're not alone.
That is a beautiful end note of our conversation. You're not alone. So it's been great to have you here, Deb. And also, before we wrap up, where's the best place for people to find you if they want to contact you?
Yeah, so they can follow me on deb.shannon5 on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn under Shannon Coaching. And my website is debshannon.co. And they can email me at deb@debshannon.
Yeah, great. We will have all these in the show notes as well. So down below, people listening on YouTube, you will find it there. Thanks so much for joining us at Making It. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in, and make sure you follow Deb. And thanks so much for your time.
Michi, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure and just makes me feel good about my work. Thank you.
Great. So here's Danny to close us out. See you next time.
Take care.
That's it for this episode of Making It. Thanks for watching or listening. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and like on YouTube or your favorite podcast player to catch future episodes. This show is brought to you by Miracy. We help coaches, consultants, and creators monetize their gifts. So if you think your expertise should be driving more income than it is, we help you bridge that gap. We do this because we believe ethical and impactful business can change the world for the better. This show helps you do exactly that. And if you want to learn even more, you can check out our business education programs and online community at miracy.com.